The story of Jacob is one of the most remarkable and transformative narratives in the Bible. It is the story of a man who began his life as a deceiver, but ended it as a patriarch, a man chosen by God to carry forth the divine promise made to Abraham. His journey from birth to old age is filled with struggle, redemption, divine encounters, and the shaping of a legacy that would define the nation of Israel. Jacob's life story reminds us of the power of faith, repentance, and the mysterious ways in which God works through human imperfection to fulfill his plan. Jacob's story begins even before his birth, in the household of Isaac and Rebekah. Isaac, the son of Abraham, had married Rebekah after his father's servant found her in the distant land of Mesopotamia. For years they remained childless, until Isaac prayed earnestly to God for his wife to conceive. God heard his prayer, and Rebekah finally became pregnant. But her pregnancy was not an easy one. She felt an unusual struggle within her womb, two babies wrestling with one another even before they were born. Confused and troubled, Rebekah sought God's guidance. The Lord answered her with a prophecy that would define the lives of her sons. Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples will be separated from within you. One people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. When the time came for her to give birth, the prophecy began to unfold. The first baby emerged red and covered in hair, so they named him Esau. Immediately afterward, his twin brother followed, grasping Esau's heel as if refusing to let him go. That act gave him his name, Jacob, which means heel grabber or supplanter. Even in the womb, Jacob symbolized the struggle that would define his life, the struggle for blessing, identity, and divine favor. As the twins grew up, their personalities and destinies became clear. Esau became a skilled hunter, a man of the open fields, rough and impulsive. Jacob, on the other hand, was quiet, thoughtful, and preferred to stay among the tents. Their parents' affections deepened the contrast. Isaac loved Esau because he enjoyed the taste of the game he hunted, while Rebekah loved Jacob for his gentler, contemplative nature. This parental favoritism set the stage for conflict and deception within the family. The first major event in Jacob's life occurred over something as simple as a bowl of stew. One day, Esau returned from hunting, exhausted and famished. Jacob had prepared a pot of lentil stew, and Esau demanded some. Seeing an opportunity, Jacob made an unusual offer. "Sell me your birthright in exchange for this stew." Esau, driven by hunger and impulsiveness, replied, "I'm about to die. What good is my birthright to me?" And so, for a meal, he gave up the sacred right of the firstborn, the privilege of leadership, and the spiritual inheritance promised to Abraham's descendants. This was the first time Jacob claimed what rightfully belonged to his brother, not by force, but through cunning and negotiation. Years later, as Isaac grew old and nearly blind, he decided it was time to bless his eldest son, Esau. The blessing of a father carried divine significance. It was not merely a wish for prosperity, but a transmission of God's covenant promises. Isaac asked Esau to hunt for game and prepare a meal for him, after which he would bless him. But Rebekah overheard the plan and remembered God's prophecy that the older would serve the younger. She quickly devised a scheme to secure the blessing for Jacob instead. She instructed Jacob to bring 2 young goats so she could prepare a meal that Isaac would enjoy. She then dressed Jacob in Esau's clothes and covered his arms and neck with goat skins to mimic Esau's hairy body. When Jacob approached his father, Isaac was suspicious. "The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are Esau's hands," he said. Still, deceived by the disguise, Isaac gave Jacob the blessing meant for Esau. "May God give you heaven's dew and earth's richness. May nations serve you, and may you rule over your brothers." No sooner had Jacob left Then Esau returned with his meal. When the truth came out, Isaac trembled violently, realizing that he had been deceived, but he could not revoke the blessing. Esau cried out in anguish, pleading for a blessing of his own, but the damage was done. His grief turned into burning hatred, and he vowed to kill Jacob once their father passed away. Rebekah, learning of Esau's plans, urged Jacob to flee to her brother Laban in Haran. Thus began Jacob's long journey away from home, a journey that would test his faith and shape his destiny. As Jacob fled, he stopped for the night in a lonely place, using a stone for a pillow. That night, he had a dream that changed his life. He saw a ladder reaching from earth to heaven, with angels ascending and descending upon it. At the top stood God himself, who reaffirmed the promise made to Abraham and Isaac. "I am the Lord. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you lie. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go." When Jacob awoke, he was filled with awe. "Surely the Lord is in this place," he said, naming it Bethel, meaning house of God. He made a vow that if God protected him, he would serve him faithfully. When Jacob reached Haran, he met Rachel, Laban's younger daughter, by a well. He was immediately captivated by her beauty and agreed to work for Laban 7 years to marry her. The years passed quickly because of his love for her. But on the wedding night, Laban deceived Jacob, just as Jacob had deceived his father. Instead of Rachel, Laban gave him Leah, his older daughter. When Jacob confronted him, Laban explained that it was not their custom to marry off the younger daughter before the elder. Jacob was furious, but agreed to work another 7 years for Rachel. Over time, Jacob's household grew. He had 12 sons and a daughter through Leah, Rachel, and their maidservants, Bilhah and Zilpah. Yet his family life was marked by jealousy and rivalry, especially between Leah and Rachel, who competed for his love and for children. Rachel, unable to conceive for many years, finally gave birth to Joseph, who would later become one of Jacob's most beloved sons. After 20 years in Haran, Jacob decided to return home. He had become wealthy through clever breeding of Laban's flocks, which caused tension between them. Fearing Laban's hostility, Jacob secretly took his family and left. Laban pursued him, but God appeared to Laban in a dream, warning him not to harm Jacob. Eventually, the two made peace and parted ways. As Jacob journeyed home, he feared his brother Esau's wrath. To prepare for their meeting, he sent messengers ahead with gifts to appease him. But the night before the encounter, Jacob found himself alone by the river Jabbok. There, a mysterious man appeared and wrestled with him until dawn. This was no ordinary opponent. It was a divine being, often interpreted as an angel. When the man saw that he could not overpower Jacob, he touched his hip, dislocating it. Still, Jacob refused to let go, saying, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The man asked his name. "Jacob," he answered. The man replied, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have struggled with men and have prevailed." That night, Jacob's identity changed forever. He limped away from the encounter, physically wounded but spiritually renewed. From deceiver to overcomer, Jacob was reborn as Israel, the father of a nation. The next day, Jacob met Esau, who approached with 400 men. But instead of revenge, Esau ran to embrace his brother. The two wept together, reconciling after years of hatred, a powerful reminder that God can restore even the most broken relationships. In his final days, Jacob blessed his sons, prophesying their futures. He reaffirmed his faith in the God who had guided him through every trial, declaring that God's covenant would continue through his descendants. Jacob died peacefully in Egypt at the age of 147. In the end, we are reminded that no matter how broken our past may be, God can still write his promise into our future.